Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Nadia, and welcome back to another episode of a breakdown of WandaVision, which we are going to dive into very soon. I tried some new concept of this video and would like to get your feedback in the end, so feel free to comment in the end of this video, or maybe just in between of what you see. So right in the beginning we see a big flashback actually in the reality of the MCU or the world we're actually in, and we see Monica Rambeau blipping back from the snap which happened 5 years ago through Thanos' hand. She's placed in the middle of the chaos of everyone coming back after the snap is being reversed into the blip. This actually confirms that WandaVision is actually taking place after Endgame. So Monica has actually no idea about what happened. She actually thinks she just fell asleep for some time, but what she gets to know from the doctor is nothing she wanted to hear.
Tyler, where's my mom?
Actually, it's about her mother, Maria Rambeau, who died after the snap.
Your mom? She died, honey.
The next thing we're getting to see is Monica Rambeau actually walking into the S.W.O.R.D HQ. We see the big S.W.O.R.D HQ, and we get to see the acronym Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division. We already talked about the W, which initially was standing for World in the comics, but got replaced into Weapon in the show. So we get to see this massive HQ that really looks like the Triskelion or the Hydra HQ we get to see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Monica goes in with her card and tries to access the door, which doesn't work. This pretty much makes sense, and she gets welcomed by the acting director of S.W.O.R.D, which is named Taylor Hayward.
Director Tyler Hayward.
Acting director.
Hayward is calling himself the acting director of S.W.O.R.D since it wasn't really planned that he would ever be the director of S.W.O.R.D. And what else we get from the scene between Hayward and Monica Rambeau is that Maria Rambeau was actually the founder of S.W.O.R.D back days. More or less, Monica was planned to take over from her before she died. What we also get from this dialogue between the two is that S.W.O.R.D is actually pretty new. 5 years ago, before Monica disappeared because of Thanos' snap, she didn't know about the O and R part of the S.W.O.R.D acronym.
Sentient weapons, like it says on the door.
It also says observation and response on that door.
Monica asks about the astronaut training program that she was initially in charge of before she disappeared. The director of S.W.O.R.D sends Monica on a field trip since the FBI requested some backup in form of a drone and one agent to New Jersey. Monica isn't very happy about it at first. She's more or less confused that the FBI wants a real human agent instead of a drone. And, well, but she takes on this missing persons file or case and drives to New Jersey to Westview actually, which we can also see on the board on the highway. Once she's at the border of Westview, the FBI greets her, which is actually Jimmy Woo. We saw Jimmy Woo already in the MCU in the Ant-Man movie. When he greets Monica, he actually flips his card with a magic trick. Well, and what we know from Ant-Man 2 is that Scott liked to play with magic and do magic tricks, which also very much confused Jimmy. So this was a nice reference to Ant-Man. According to the local sheriff, Westview actually doesn't exist. He claims that he and his partner are from Eastview, not from Westview. Monica and Jimmy both are very confused about it. And what Monica does is she decides to send in a drone, a S.W.O.R.D drone, in form of a helicopter. And when Monica sends this drone in, they both realize that there is some kind of energy field. Monica gets too close to this energy field when she touches it, and she just gets sucked into Westview, and Jimmy stays behind. And then we are 24 hours later, seeing a truck arriving in this set-up tents of an observation base camp in front of Westview, where Monica Rambeau disappeared. Once again, she disappeared. We see Darcy Lewis with some kind of a team of scientists in a truck. And when she arrives, she gets called Miss Lewis, and she corrects the agent that her name, or, well, her title is Dr. Lewis.
Miss Lewis.
Dr. Lewis.
The first thing she recognizes or she senses is that there are CMBRs detected by her tactical equipment, and a CMBR stands for Cosmic Microwave Background Radiation. And these CMBRs are imbued by some broadcast radiation. This is why Darcy asks for a very old TV and can actually broadcast whatever these radiations wanted to broadcast, and what they get to see in the space camp in front of Westview, the sitcom life of Wanda and Vision. We also get to see the beekeeper, the agent. I don't know I didn't catch his name quite right, but I believe is that his name is Agent Franklin. He gets sent into Westview in order to search for Rambeau, which is also an assignment he got from Taylor Hayward, who is actually present at this place in front of Westview. So S.W.O.R.D is seeing episode 1 on the old TV as nobody else can broadcast anything else after sending in multiple drones into Westview. Darcy gets put in charge of analyzing all the episodes or everything they see on those TVs. So Jimmy and Darcy find out the real names of Mr. and Mrs. Hart, of Norm, of Herb, and multiple other, living people in Westview. And Darcy comes up with an idea of trying to contact Wanda together with Jimmy. When they go out to set up everything in order to send the signal in, she tells Jimmy what the time window is. And when she says that, she's all like, Wanda's cleaning up the dishes once a day, and she's like, barf. I know she says that in order to show her disgust, but barf was also the technology we talked about by Stark Industries. Well, just because somebody says barf and it might be an acronym we already know from the Marvel Universe, it doesn't mean that it needs to be connected. I just like to point things out that might be able to connect with each other, but it doesn't have to be. Right before Jimmy tries to contact Wanda via the radio, an agent comes out and shows him and Darcy a picture of the helicopter that Wanda finds in the second episode in her. They realize it's a transformed S.W.O.R.D helicopter that changed within the Westview atmosphere. They are kind of confused why it changed its form and its color and why it is colored, just the same way we were confused why it was the only thing which was in color in the second episode. Jimmy Woo is trying to contact Wanda via the radio, and as we already know, it fails miserably. We then go back to the beekeeper, and he actually reaches Westview, and once he gets through the energy field, he kind of gets lost. Or at least S.W.O.R.D cannot pull him out again, since his rope or whatever he was connected to, it just falls off his belt, and that's what they pull out on the other side, on the reality side. And the beekeeper is completely alone in Westview. And as we already suspected in the second episode, we will not see the beekeeper again. Since Jimmy's and Darcy's plan to contact Wanda failed, they continue to watch the episodes or the live stream on the old televisions, and then they see this one point where Geraldine or Monica Rambeau mentions Ultron. It's the first time they shift into reality in the sitcoms, and this is also something Darcy and Jimmy realize, and they're confused about it and try to figure out what happens, because in the next scene we see, or S.W.O.R.D sees, Wanda and Vision being together in the living room, and Monica is just gone. And in this moment, Darcy realizes that somebody is censoring the broadcast, but she cannot tell who and what it is and why. And this is something we still have to pick up on, if it is Wanda or if it is another entity.
Someone is censoring the broadcast.
And then we get a look into Westview as we got in the previous 3 episodes, and we see what actually happens between Wanda and Monica after Monica blew her cover. It's Wanda that pulled back into reality somehow, and she gets really mad, and she uses her magic to throw out Monica out of Westview, and she tells her that she wants her to leave as she's trespassing and that she doesn't belong into Westview. But after she pushes Monica out of Westview, Wanda realizes what she has done, and she realizes her actions. She tries to clean up right before Vision comes back into the house. She succeeds, and then Vision comes back, and then there is this shocking moment where Wanda turns around to Vision, and she sees him like in the reality of Infinity War where he was dead. She sees him in his grayish color, dead eyes, and his broken and smashed head. It shocks her, and she shakes it off, and then she's back to fake normal, and she smiles, and she tells him that everything's fine, while Vision is kind of acting out of ordinary fake happy family sitcom. Before he follows Wanda to the couch, he's thinking about something, and then he just puts up a fake smile and sits down with her. So whatever portrayment or fake Vision this is, he knows. He knows that something's up and that Wanda is going mad. And then we see Monica back in reality, getting medical treatment from S.W.O.R.D and the FBI, and all she says is, Wanda. It's all Wanda. And here, people, we have what we were thinking about the past 3 episodes. Who is in charge of this world? It is Wanda. She has taken over a whole city that was, initially named Eastview. She renamed it into Westview, and she is completely in charge of it. Well, she certainly does not realize when somebody's trespassing, only if, she sees them in person, like the beekeeper and like Monica in the end. But this was kind of fun to see the whole 3 episodes out of the view of S.W.O.R.D, because we see S.W.O.R.D watching all 3 sitcom episodes from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, like we've seen before, within this 4th episode. Well, we're back to step 1 actually, since no agents is on the inside, and they know what happens to the agents going on the inside. But there's just one difference. We see 2 agents going into this world. Monica Rambeau being sucked in, and she got this whole Geraldine fake cover, and she actually somehow either had some very deep cover, or she just tried to play along, or her memories were kind of manipulated by Wanda's illusion. But then we have this beekeeper agent, or we call him the beekeeper, but we have the S.W.O.R.D agent getting into Westview through the underground, where also this energy field is being passed, and he is still in his S.W.O.R.D suit, and he's normal. He's not turning into some person living in Westview. He's just still the S.W.O.R.D agent he was before he got into this world. So there is the big question mark why this is happening, but we might get to know more in the 5th episode. This was a conclusion of the happenings in this episode of WandaVision, episode 4. And if you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe in order to follow the next breakdown, which is coming next week, or future MCU projects I'm going to do on this YouTube channel. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see ya next week.